The Carolina Panthers are 6-5. They are above 500 through 11 games. Huh? Take that in. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, somebody once told me. Do you know what else they are? They're tied in the win column atop the division through 11 games. They have 6 wins. So do the Bucks. Bucks have played less games, but let's not get bogged down in the details, right? Just be excited about that. At the beginning of the year, one of the things I emphasized, one of the things I said was important for the Carolina Panthers, beyond, you want to improve, you want to play well, all the boring coach stuff that you could say is true for every team, was they needed to be playing meaningful football towards the end of the season. Right? Whether they made the playoffs or not, whether they were really in the mix or not, they had 3 division games after the bye. Right? Their bye is in week 14, 3 division games after that. I wanted those games to matter because whether they make the playoffs or not, experience playing in games that have all of the stakes is worth its weight in gold. And it appears as if that's going to happen, right? It appears as if they at least won't be mathematically eliminated with 2 games against the Bucks after the bye. Right? You got to take care of business maybe against the Saints and things like that, but that's good. That's good. Okay? And I want to separate results from process. The results through 11 games are good, and that will set them up to improve and learn and experience down the stretch. Here's Dave Canales on just that, playing in those high-leverage games.
Honestly, we just take it one game at a time, and my job is to really just sell the championship moments that we have, the championship opportunity. Talking about this week, playing on Monday Night Football against the Niners, a team that I really respect. It's a great opportunity for us. There's going to be a couple more cameras out there. It's going to be under the lights. This will be a great environment for our guys and easy for me to sell just what these games feel like. It'll feel like a playoff environment, certainly against a playoff caliber type of team. These are the opportunities that we need.
Monday night this week. That's what he's talking about with the lights. We don't have to fool ourselves. Remember years past, they'd play like a Germany game, and we'd be like, that's a primetime game, right? It's the only one on. There's no other games going on. It's at 9:30 in the morning, East Coast. All right. No, this is a Monday night football game against another team with high expectations in the San Francisco 49ers, and you're above 500. It's a good experience. Let's see what you've learned from being above 500 at home playing against the Bills. Let's see what you've learned from going into that Saints game with all the momentum and laying in a goose egg. Let's see. That's all good. Now, to separate results from process, are they actually playing that well? Right? You're going to get the benefit of playing games that matter. You're going to get those lessons, right? Tepper, McMillan, Nick Scorton, these guys get to go play in a Monday night football game that matters. You're getting that. Are you actually playing well enough to expect that? And it starts with DVOA. DVOA is kind of one of the grandfathers or grandmothers, the ancestors would be the way to say it. One of the forefathers of football analytics. Okay, because now, I don't know about you, I can't go on social media without seeing like a scatter plot of, the EPA per drop back against the blitz on one axis, and on the other axis, it's WAR above adjusted run game contributions from the offensive line, and it's just what does this graph show me? And then there's always like Drake May all the way at the top right, and they're just like, look at the season he's having. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. That acronym has 17 letters in it, and you think I should know what stat that's representing. But none of that exists without DVOA. Okay, DVOA, defense adjusted something or another. It's one of the original this is how well your team is actually playing stats. It's supposed to be all-encompassing. It's supposed to basically just line up play after play after play and see how often you're being successful and how successful overall each play is. If you look at it like that, the Panthers are the second worst 6-5 team ever. since they've started using DVOA, which does go back into at least the 80s. So of the teams that are 6-5, right? I'm not saying they're as bad as like a 2-9 team, but of teams that were 6-5, they are the second worst when you just isolate plays for how successful they're being. The only team worse, the 2016 Texans. Somehow they were 6-5. So, again, I'm not going to swear by DVOA. I think football is much more difficult to apply equations to and analytic just sort out than, say, baseball is or some other sports. But it does raise the question of, are they 6-5 worthy or are they 6-5 fortunate? Right? Are they playing in a Monday night game that matters? And are they going to get the benefits of that because they've been playing really well as a football team, or because their good plays have just happened to fall at like important parts of the game, well-placed good plays, and the opponent's not playing great and whatever. I think it's more the latter. Now, that's not to say, like, you know, if you throw for 448 yards, you're probably going to win. I bet you if you look in history, if you throw for 448 yards and your quarterback has no turnovers, I bet you your percentage of winning is pretty high. And the Rico Dowdle games, right? The 200-yard total yards games from Rico Dowdle. I bet the chances of winning a football game go up significantly if you look at all the examples in history of a running back having 200-plus total yards and averaging, 6 yards a carry or whatever he was averaging. So, like, those are real wins. But those are also kind of good masks. Right? You can do a lot of other things pretty poorly and still win games with those types of performances. Which puts me in a really tough position logically. Right? I'm not acting like I'm all-knowing here, because I don't think you can just say, like, well, that 200-yard performance from Rico Dowdle really covered up a lot. It's like, well, yeah, that's what football is. That's why football is awesome. It's the ultimate team sport, right? If you have a quarterback that's good enough, you don't need great wide receivers. They'll throw them open and all those sorts of things, right? The jokes about, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers during Aaron Rodgers' latter parts of his career and Tom Brady, right? You can give them the grocery checkout guys and they'll throw for 4,000 yards. Like, that's good. You don't take that away. So Rico Dowdle ran so well that he covered up a bunch of holes in those games and they won. Don't take away the win, but you do acknowledge it's probably not repeatable. We've seen Bryce Young not be able to throw consistently for over 200 yards. So now he throws for 448. You probably shouldn't pencil in to next week like, all right, we'll get our 320 yards passing. Where else are we going to get our production? So here's where it stands. I don't know if they're playing above 500 football quality-wise. I also don't know if it matters. They're above 500.
That's true.
That's where I kind of fall on both sides of the fence.
You're still in the conversation. That's the thing that matters most.
Winning games that you shouldn't win is a skill, right? And it's wildly important in football to be able to win games where you're not dominating the game. Right? It's one of my favorite little theories that I name, right? When you can go out and Max Scherzer a game, because Max Scherzer, for me, baseball fans, he was the guy that could show up and in warm-ups go, I got my C- stuff here, guys. Lost a couple miles an hour velo, not there. I can't control my off-speed stuff, and I'm just going to have to grind through this one. And through sheer force of like staring and breathing heavy, he'd walk off the mound after 7 2/3 and 2 runs allowed. And it would just be like, he didn't place a pitch where he wanted to all night and somehow struck out 8 and gave us a quality start. Now, walking off the mound, you might say he didn't pitch that well. Scoreboard says he pitched great. That's a skill, right? There's not a lot of pitchers that can do that, and he did it consistently. So if the Panthers are walking off the field every game, and it's going, I think they got outplayed, but they won by 3. That's a skill. And what it does is it buys you time to figure out how to play well. Eventually, you're going to have to like unlock the Pandora's box that is your offense. You're going to have to run the ball well and pass well in the same game. Like eventually, you're going to have to do that. But if you can win games without doing that, it buys you time to figure it out. I don't think the Panthers are playing above 500 football quality-wise. They're above 500. If they start playing above 500 football quality-wise from this point forward, then it gets interesting. Right? Because their schedule does get tougher. Even including the Falcons this past week. Before this game, they had the toughest schedule as far as winning records for the remaining opponents going into this week. So it gets tougher from here. But also, there's a lot of room for them to improve.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So DVOA, and I imagine whatever your metric is, right? Offense and defense, estimated points added per play, like whatever your go-to, basically war-style stat analytic, right? War in baseball, it's just supposed to tell you like basically how good you're playing. Whatever your analytic is, it probably doesn't have the Panthers in the top half of the league. But wins and losses does. Mm-hmm. So that's really the only thing that matters. You don't give it back, but you acknowledge there is room for improvement, and you need to do it. Winning games like you won last game is what buys you the time to figure it out.
And I think this is all part of growing pains, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the key part of that is growth, which is what we've seen tremendously this season. We have seen a lot of growth, but a lot of frustration that goes along with it. There's growth and there's pain.
And I would even add this. Winning games that you shouldn't could become like a really weird self-fulfilling prophecy where you act like winners because you're winning games. And sometimes that confidence, right, it works. Right? You if you're a quarterback that's pressing a little tight, you throw a pass you shouldn't throw, but it's caught. Maybe next time you're playing a little looser. You're no longer tight. You're no longer pressing because that one was completed. So now you're out there more in the flow state, and now you're playing well. And it's like, you know what? A bad throw unlocked you because it was a successful outcome. Think of it, golfers out there. Right? I know there's a lot of golfers in the area, and I can try to put it in an analogy that will make sense. And keep in mind, I'm a bad golfer. You ever play with somebody new, like a father-in-law or a boss or something, and you're super nervous? You might put a bad swing on a ball. If it lands on the green, next hole, you're ready to play, right? So it wasn't a good swing, but you just won a hole. You know what I mean? You just birdied. Now you're walking up to the next hole, chest popped out, ready to play. You're swinging more loose, and every golfer will tell you swinging more loose is way better than every muscle in your body being contracted. It can happen that way. You won a game, or you completed a pass, or you made a big play. Maybe it wasn't the best process to get there, but it worked. Now next game you show up with the strut of a winner, playing better. Do that 3 or 4 times, you might level up a time or two. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. And yes, DVOA has them as not a very good 6-5 team. Take that, nerds. They're 6-5. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That's a lie. I actually like the stats game.